Hi guys, back with me again, Aptism. Also, in today's video, we're going to talk about the newest V Premium tire list, which you all may know that recently we held the V Premium event, and we even uploaded the semi-final and the finals in our channel. You might want to check it out. And so this is the tire list that I made based on safe events and events outside, like events in Japan and events in so many countries that happens during this roughly last 2 months. And this is the list that I came up, especially after watching the WG finals in Japan also. So we're gonna start with the lowest tire, which is the tire D in the V Premium. There is the 3 clan in the D tire. This is the lowest tire. It's not necessarily means that they're bad, it's just that they didn't do enough to have enough credentials to be competitive in the meta game. So the 3 clan in the D is Great Nature, Mega Colony, and OTT. So these 3 clans basically didn't have like enough credentials. They didn't get used that often or at all in any of the competitive tournament, and had they been used, they're not topping at all. Mainly because they don't have good support over these past years, especially in the VSS and the DVS. They didn't do really well in terms of supports and in tournament results, and their VBT supports doesn't really help because they're really lackluster is what they are. And then we move on to the C tire. There's only two clan in the C tires, which is Spike Brothers and Neonectar. They got like a decent support over the DVS support, but they just didn't do enough to disrupt the meta game. And so that concludes the CND tire, which is the lower bracket of the tire. And now that we move on to the B tires, this will be the tire where most competitive deck starts. So like B upwards, B, A, and S is the competitive decks that you would want to look for. First in B we had Calgary Rock, of course, which still the cross is still a good one-shot deck. It's still a deck that can caught your opponent by surprise, but by any means it's not that sure win. It's not a sure pick to win. And there's also Tachikaze, which you can high roll through Angry Blader, and there's also Royal Paladin, which I think they get a lot of good supports, but none of which really stands out like a super meta support. I think they just got a somewhat good support. It's not a bad support by any means, but not that good either. And then we have got the 2 Dark Zone clans, which is Pale Moon and Dark Regulars. The DVS support didn't really support them that much, so usually the build that they use still the build from their VBT one, and it just doesn't really compete anymore. I mean, you can still see them on competitive skin, but usually they don't tops that much anymore. They lose out to newer decks, to much stronger and faster decks. And there's also Norse Grabber, which sometimes you might see like a Victor deck, but that's all. I think the other version of Norse Grabber, maybe Beast Deity deck, but other than that, you don't really see them much, especially in the new Razors. You don't see them much because I think the new Razors isn't that good. And then there's Dimension Police with the new Daikaiser support. Daikaiser support is actually really interesting, but I think it's not enough to win an event. And then the Link Joker support, and then there's Link Joker in Tire B also. Link Joker, usually right now people play Starfighter, right? They play Chaos Breaker, and with the new Infinite Zero. Chaos Breaker is a strong card. Like I said this very often, I think with Chaos Breaker, the matchup is he won like half of the meta but lost to the other half of the meta. So it's really a 50-50 deck, and you might encounter some problems with timeouts as well. If the tournament has timeout structures, you might want to watch out for the timeout And the last clan in Tire B is Nubatama, just because it can caught you by surprise, and you can still see it every so often, especially like the Hanzo deck or maybe the Shiranui deck. I think it's still a threat, both of them. You can lose to them unexpectedly. And we move on to the Tire A. This is some of the clan that you might see on the top cuts, but maybe they don't win the events, but you can see them on the top cuts. We got Girl Chronicle. Chronojet is a good card as always, and of course with their new supports, with the supporting stuffs in the grade 1 and grade 2s, it makes the deck much more consistent. But overall, I think the deck just lacks that final push to be really in the top. And you got Grand Blue, they still play Nitros as always, with the new support that they use is Beatrice. It just makes it easier to attack with 4 Skull Dragons in one turn, and makes finishing your opponent is really easy. But again, I think the deck lacks that final push. And then Aqua Force, which can catch you by surprise, because top decks like Spectral can sometimes lose to Glory Maelstrom, because nowadays people, especially when they play the new grade 3 heal, they don't have that 20k shield in their deck, and with that 20k shield, guarding Glory Maelstrom is as hard as it can get. And then we got Genesis. With Genesis, the Fenrir deck is still good, and with the new Fortuna, I think Genesis can still catch you by surprise. And not also worth mentioning is that the Astral Poet deck, some people might underestimate them, but believe me, it can kill you like really fast and in a one-shot way. If you're not prepared for it, if you don't have any perfect guards in your head, then you can only pray that there is some heal in your damage checks, or it will be over in an instant. And I think the one-shot might be even faster than most of the cross or Dotex. And then we got Murakumo with its usual multi-attacking stuffs that is really hard to deal against, and Narukami, of course, against with the Vanquisher that is really fast and really strong. So that concludes the Tire A, and we move on to the higher tier, which is Tire S. In Tire S, we only got 4 clans. First off, we got Shadow Paladin, mostly with Dwarves. Even though they got the new Raging Form Dragon, I don't see Raging Form really much in a competitive skin. People usually turn to Reward in case of the bigger tournaments like WGP. People will prefer to play Rewards than play Raging Form Dragon, because Reward offers so much more, like in terms of flexibility, drawing power, passing power, constant retire to disturb your opponent, and of course the finishing power as well, because you got like 2 big rear guards with 2 crits that can multi-attack with Morfessa and Apocalypse Bat and so on and so on. And then we got the Bermuda Triangle. With Bermuda, there's 2 builds that came into Tire S. The first is Melody, which is really simple and hits hard and fast. It's really hard to guard against, and if you get caught in their tempo, it's most likely game over. And the other is Prism. With Prism, the thing worth noting with Prism in a competitive skin is again a timeout rule, because sometimes Prism game tends to drag very long, especially if you have a mirror matchup against Prism. It's most likely that you will go into time with those Prism mirror mats, and that's what you should watch out for. And then you got Angel Feather with Gabriel. Many people have been calling for Gabriel to get hit by the restriction list, maybe the Hamiel or something else from the deck. But we know it didn't happen because there is no change in the restriction list, and it's still going very strong. Gabriel is still a hard deck, a really hard deck to beat. It's a deck that's really hard to guard against, and to push through Gabriel damage is also hard because they have a good defense also. And then finally we have the Gold Paladin with the Spectral build. Many people also calling for Percival to get restricted, to not be used in the same deck as Spectral, but as we know again that the restriction list didn't happen, so the deck is still there and Spectral is still going as strong. As you know, usually our final match in a big tournament consists of a Spectral or a Gavrail, and sometimes there's a Luar mixed up in it as well. So the four clan that I mentioned in Tire has, which is Gold Paladin, Bermuda Triangle, Angel Feather, and Shadow Paladin. 4 of those is a clan that you see really often tops in an event and even wins them. So that's the summary of our tire list. If you guys have any different ideas, if you guys think that you have your own tire list, feel free to comment, shoot it in the comment. That's our video for today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.